So I think one thing to really be prepared for is that this is a taught program. This is an intensive classroom and field-based taught program. It is, in a way, think like a year of your life where you begin to get both an introduction into urban systems across an interdisciplinary lens, to get a vocabulary across different practices and disciplines, no matter where your own training brought you into the UFP from, and then be able to immerse in more depth in particular sectors of practice. So I think the UFP is a place both in which you can, if you've always wanted to work in urban areas, but don't know where to begin to think about how to talk of the urban, conceptualize it, or don't understand the types of practices that come under what it means to work in quote-unquote the urban sector, the fellowship is an excellent place to find that voice. It's also a very good place to come because you have been working for many years in a particular field. Say you've been working in transport or housing or sanitation or gender development or economic and livelihood empowerment, and you feel like you've hit that kind of wall where you know that things are more complex than you're being able to engage with on the field, but you don't have the language for that complexity. And all of us in our working lives at some point realize that we are trying to solve one part of the problem, but the rest of the system keeps infiltrating and leaking into that problem, and we don't know how to think about it. We know that when we are working on housing, the sanitation question is inseparable from the gender question, which is inseparable from the tenure question, which is inseparable from the larger economic development question. But we don't know how to hold those scales together. How do I hold all four of these together? How do I hold the macro picture with the micro picture? How do I connect this story to that large data point? These kinds of connections on wanting to move across interconnected systems, that's the core thing to expect from the fellowship. So as an experience, think of it as going back to school. That is exactly what it is. You will read, you will apply, you will be pushed, you will write. It's intense, it is tough, it's continuous. There are not that many places to pause. But it is, when you're looking for an immersion, also an opportunity to really get a chance to think, reflect, and connect, and to get a new language and find a way to apply that quite closely. I think the other thing to realize about it is that 40% of the course is taught outside the classroom. And I think this is an important ethic for our teaching philosophy, which is you can't teach the city sitting in the class. So you will constantly move back and forth between the city and the classroom. And that's one thing I think that is really valuable as a pedagogical experience, because it allows you to immediately test what you're being taught. Our intention isn't that you take our word for it. You believe it just because we say it in a lecture. The point is to get a set of ideas and then take them to the city and keep moving back and forth between the city and the classroom. So that sense of application, that sense of experiential learning is core to our teaching philosophy. So to think about what to expect from the program, think of rigor, think of an intense experience, think of a lot of reading, a lot of writing, think a lot of time in the field experiencing the city, think of new language, think of a lot of teamwork and group work, and think of a lot of applied practice and a lot of multiple scales being held together. That's kind of, for me, sums up what the fellowship experience is like.